Welcome to the Reclaim Leader podcast. I'm Jason Tucker.
And I'm Jesse Skiffington.
We're two pastors in the trenches who are passionate about church health for greater gospel impact.
We share the ups and downs of ministry, strategies that worked for us,
and some that didn't.
Best practices and practical tools for church leadership.
The goal, to help all of our churches flourish. Let's get started.
See another sunrise, sing a little song.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reclaim Leader podcast. It's so good to be back with you again for episode 402, Jesse, 402. Man, this has been so great for us and our leadership together over the years. And I hope that it's helping a lot of pastors and churches out there just to think about these things and try to figure out how can we help our churches to get healthier, to flourish, in some cases to turn around from maybe a season of decline. In others, maybe just a next level of faithfulness. So hopefully we're your partners on this journey together. Shout out to all those who've been tracking with us and listening with us recently. So good to have you. And if you ever need to reach out, we're here, Jason or Jesse at reclaimleader.com. Jesse, how you doing, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, I think we're coming back to one of my favorite topics again. I mean, leading change in the local church. I mean, and it's something we come back to again and again, different seasons. You and I have been down the road a little bit. Now all the things that we're changing are things that we helped start or come up with or didn't change before because we didn't have the guts to, or whatever the thing. And leading change in the church is so vitally important. And it's something we can learn to do wisely and well. And it comes with a little bit of a cautionary tale. I mean, like, if you're going to be willing to lead change, meaningful change for the sake of the mission in the church, you will get pushback. You will have the scars to prove it. It will be hard, but it's worth it. And it's what we should want to spend our time doing, is to lead change in a way that helps a church thrive and flourish and accomplish the mission that God has given us. And so, man, there's a lot to talk about in that lane. But today we're talking about change, resistance, and boy, does that come. But it can also be kind of a benefit to us in our leadership. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Can't wait to see where we go.
Yeah, it can for sure. So one of the things in this season in the life of the church here is, we're changing. It feels like there's been a lot of change happening. I used to think, I guess probably because I didn't think about it, I used to think that, well, once we kind of get growing and get healthy, then I'm not going to have to worry about this change resistance thing because, you just, everything's better. But what I've discovered is that growth does not eliminate resistance to change. It actually sparks it sometimes. Because as you need to adjust to the growth, you need to make decisions, and those decisions always have a consequence. Sometimes it's a good consequence. Sometimes it's a difficult consequence, but either way, leading through change resistance is incredibly important to do well. Yeah. And we're in a season right now where we made a big decision, and we talked about that over, I don't know how many episodes ago. We talked about it, and we're right in the middle of dealing with the change resistance. And what does that mean, and how do we navigate it? And there are a lot of things that are hard about it. But what I really wanted to talk about today was what's good about it. Because I keep coming back to this personally. I feel like because of what's happened recently, it was like smelling salts to my leadership. I feel like it woke me up in a really good way. Not that I don't want to go through the resistance. Don't hear me wrong.
Sure.
But it's not all bad. There are some benefits to it.
Yeah. Well, what is it about that? Is it having something to respond to or to engage with? What was it about it, do you think, that
so I mean, I'm going to get into these with the kind of the four benefits, but before I do, I want to offer this caveat.
Let's hear it.
It's important. There's a couple caveats I'm going to give as we go. This is the first one. Resistance could also be an indicator it was not a good decision.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you can't just say that, well, all resistance means it's opposing
Yeah.
God's truth and
Is
or
there
whatever.
anything to the criticism or pushback? Is there
Right.
anything biblical that we didn't get right? Like, I think it is. You need to ask that question. Is there anything to this that we need to look at? So
Yeah.
fair
Don't double
caveat.
down on a mistake out of
Don't
pride.
double down on a mistake.
I mean,
That's
truly.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like-
Or don't defend a mistake just because you feel like, I don't know, insecure and you have to defend your decision.
Right.
If it's the wrong one, address it. Yeah.
And sometimes by addressing that, it actually does the opposite of what you think. People think it's
Mhm.
going to diminish your leadership. It actually increases it.
Yeah. Yeah.
People see you as a better leader when you own up to mistakes.
Right.
Now,
And
something that perhaps our government can learn. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we try things and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and we have a track record of that. We say, you know what, we tried this, it didn't work, or we thought based on the information we had, we really discerned and we thought this was a direction to go, but it's clear that we were off track or it doesn't seem like this is the right way. And so we're going to do something else. And I think you're right. It done in the right way, it can really build your credibility. Now, if you have 10 of those in a row, maybe not so much.
Exactly right. You only got so much stock to cash in, right?
That's
You gotta,
right.
gotta let it build for a while.
All right. That's one caveat. What's the other one?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that as we go.
Okay. I don't want to spoil it.
But that one is, again, you want to make sure if the resistance is 95% of the people, it's probably not the right decision. Probably. I mean, like, there's got to be enough consensus to feel like you're discerning the Holy Spirit's, instructions.
Right.
So I needed to say that up front because
I like it.
Anyway, okay. So here are the 4 surprising benefits, and we're going to unpack these a little bit. The first is, and they're all C's because I am a pastor, and I just can't stop. I have
Good.
an alliteration problem.
Helps
Okay. The first is clarity. When you make a decision, when the church makes a decision and there is resistance, you start thinking real quick about, did we decide the right thing?
Hmm.
And what you'll do is you'll count the cost in a different way because now there is a cost. It's not a hypothetical cost. Now you know exactly what the cost is. And you discover what's really at stake. You weigh the cost and the benefits.
Yeah.
And you decide based on, is this what's going to move the mission forward or not? You get very clear on what the church should do. And that is a huge, huge benefit. It's like, if you go through the resistance and you feel less clear about the decision, I think that says something. That doesn't mean you're wrong, but I think you pay attention to that. But if you go through all of that and you feel like, oh no, it is more clear than ever, it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's clear. That is a gift. That really is a gift. And a benefit of having to face resistance.
Yeah, I think I can think of a handful of decisions over the years, and some of them were staff ones and program changes where it's like, we think this is the right decision. It's hard, and you pull the trigger on the decision, and then the way that other people sometimes react or respond to that decision actually has a way of clarifying that was the right call because of the way that they responded or reacted or went way out of blew it way out of proportion or whatever happened there. And so it does have a clarifying effect. I think that's a good C to start with, Jason. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, and as you prayerfully consider the mission and the pull of the Holy Spirit, for me, it's very simple. Is this decision going to help or potentially hurt the mission? Or is it neutral to the mission? Even then, maybe that's a good thing to identify.
Yep.
I'm going to move forward when I know it's going to help the mission, or at least that's the goal. I said it's sort of like going out to eat. So at a typical restaurant, I'm making food decisions based on how I feel, how hungry I am, my mood, whatever, who I'm with. And now at some restaurants, though, they give you the nutritional information. That changes things, doesn't it? So then I really have to decide, is that meal going to be worth it? I can actually see the calories in the fat,
That's right.
Is that worth it?
Yeah.
I have to count the cost and decide, do I really want it? I feel like there's something going on in the same lane when it comes to clarity against resistance.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Am I willing to take the hits for this thing because it's clear it's for the mission? Yep. I love it.
Yeah. And then these C's stack on each other. So they're all related. So after clarity, when you have clarity, it gives you conviction.
Mhm.
That's another benefit of facing change resistance. You have conviction. The clarity helps you decide, but the conviction helps you to take action.
Mhm.
And when you do that, when you get conviction, it's like it gives you a tailwind into resistance. Why? Because you know exactly why you made the decision. Yes, I do want the salmon. Thank you very much. It's the best choice for me in terms of nutritional value. That's what I'm getting. Waiter, I'd like to have that, right? You take action on that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think conviction is a gift. It gives you the momentum to keep moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think that conviction too is what makes it believable for other people as you're talking about it too. So we're doing this change. Here's how it fits with our mission. But if it doesn't come spilling out of you, if it's not, I feel passionate or convicted, or I feel this is right. If that's not coming through, and people see that you're kind of hedging your bets or waffling a little bit, man, that is just trouble waiting to happen. So change resistance can develop a sense of strong conviction. No, this is right. This is what needs to happen. This is where the Lord is leading us. And you can lead from that place of conviction rather than wondering. And man, that makes a huge difference, especially when you're in the room with people that are resisting and pushing back.
It does. I mean, have you ever been under a leader that didn't have conviction around a decision? And then how'd you feel like that?
I've been a leader
Yeah.
that has been.
I wasn't going to say that about
Yeah, I
you.
mean, yeah, we all have had experiences of being convicted in a decision and feeling strongly, and other times where we're like, you know what, and I think that trend, and people can see that, and of course, then you have to kind of go, well, what's that about? Why don't I feel conviction about this decision? And
Yeah.
then we kind of go back to maybe your caveat and go, well, maybe this wasn't as important to the mission as we had thought, but. I think when you're passionate about your mission and believe in it, conviction comes when you make a decision that's in line with that. So yeah, I think conviction's a good one to add into the mix for sure.
And I think conviction helps you weather the obstacles a bit because you're convicted it's the right thing. The next thing's closely related. The next C is that once you have conviction, I think that builds courage.
Okay. I was going to bring that up under conviction, and I suspected that you were going to go
You
to
knew that was coming.
I love it. That's so good. Yeah.
Clarity breeds conviction. Conviction breeds courage to decide to sail into a headwind. You know where it is. But there's also a thin line between sailing into a headwind and sailing into stupid, right? So are we sailing into a hurricane?
Right.
Or we just need to change tack so that we can go into the headwind. Mm-hmm. And that's something hopefully you determine before now. But I think it gives you the courage. Hey, we're very clear. We know it's the right thing. We're convinced it's the right thing to do. It's the right decision to make. Let's do it. And listen, there's going to be resistance. So let's figure out how to move our sails in such a way that we catch the wind as we go.
Yeah, the courage of your convictions. I love that. It's the decision to act even in the face of fear or in the face of pushback that might come. So that courage is, I'm going to move this thing forward. And I know there could be a cost to this, but it's the right thing to do. And so that's what I'm going to do. And sometimes our courage is going to come at a cost, a personal cost or relational cost or whatever. We might take some bumps and bruises from unfair treatment from others or something, but we do it because it's the right thing. We're convicted about it. And so we step out in faith and we take that action. So I love it. Courage, man, that's a smelling salt that I need, I think, a little more often, is to get to that point of like, okay, I know what needs to be done. Lord, give me the courage, the will, and the courage to do what needs to get done, even in the face of resistance. So I'm glad you included that one, Jason. It is, without the courage of your convictions, man, you got to go in there ready to go.
And I mean, why do you think, I know for me, why do I go into seasons where I'm not leaning into this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it's like, for whatever reason, I feel like I don't have the energy to hang on to the conviction and the courage and all of that. But it's so funny because I don't know. And then something happens or resistance happens. And again, all of a sudden I'm awake to these things in a way that I wasn't before. And I think we all we like living resistance-free lives. I think about how many times when we pray for one another, we're praying for
Safety,
for no
comfort.
resistance
Yeah,
anywhere in
that's
life.
right.
Like, we don't
Yeah.
want anyone sick. We don't want any trouble. We want
Yeah,
green lights and blue skies. We're always
sure.
praying that away, but yet it's in the resistance that I find the Lord holding me up
Definitely.
most and
Yeah.
strengthening me the most.
Yeah, and developing the resiliency and the knowledge that you can do hard things and it's going to be okay. And when I hear that word resistance, I think of those resistance bands that sometimes I'll use for a workout or whatever. And it's like you build strength by facing resistance, and when you have the courage to do it, you're going to develop a reservoir of leadership strength, and the courage of your convictions is going to kind of deepen that ability to lead well and wisely and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot of threads to follow on that one, but that's
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah, and you totally guessed where kind of the next thing about resistance, and that it's a strength builder, because it's sort of like lifting weights. I told the story a while back, but once my son started lifting weights, I started too, because I'm like, he can't be stronger than me tomorrow. And it had been years and years since I had lifted weights. It's something I used to really enjoy, and over the last year and a half, 2 years, I got back into it, and I really love it. I love that feeling of feeling strong and
Yeah.
improving, getting new PRs and stuff like that. There's just something about that that's really healthy for my
I
soul.
love it. Yeah.
And
So is that last C curl then? Is it curls?
that's right. How'd you know, man? No,
Yeah.
it's creatine is the last thing.
Creatine. Okay. Well,
No, but so in that, without the resistance, you don't get any stronger. And conversely, if I seek to avoid resistance, my muscles atrophy.
yeah.
It's crazy. At this age, if I take a week off, I feel like I'm set back at least 5 pounds, like of being able to push weight.
Yeah.
It's crazy. 2 weeks off, I can only imagine if I took a month off.
Be back to where you started. Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Mhm.
Unbelievable. And I feel like there's a leadership axiom in there as well
I'm
when
sure.
it comes to strength. And that's where courage leads. It leads to confidence, which is your strength, right? Your confidence of leading. That's the 4th C. Building strength is what happens when you face the headwind. And that's how you become a stronger, better leader, is through the resistance.
Yeah, confidence. And I think it's not just your confidence. It's your team's confidence.
Yeah.
It's your leadership, decision-making team's confidence that we can make decisions and well-discerned, carefully thought out strategic decisions, vision, mission, culture decisions that are going to serve the mission well for a really great purpose. And we can work through the resistance to change, even our own resistance to change, and it's going to make an impact.
Yeah.
And so that confidence is going to grow, that not only can we do it, but boy, it's actually kind of fun when we do it. And there's something healthy about even the resistance we face as we do it, because it gives us the resolve and the knowledge that we can do it again and it will be okay. And not only will it be okay, but somehow we're going to grow and deepen because of it. So I think that confidence word is a solid one. And so it makes me kind of think, when was the last time we made the caliber of decision that led to enough resistance that really kind of catalyzed these 4 surprising benefits? I don't know. So I know you guys have had a few recently, and we have some staff changes coming up here at Marine View in a good way, with some people moving to new parts of the country and stuff. And there's going to be some change, Jason. All of us are changing. And are we going to, have the boldness to make those decisions even in the face of change?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And here's where I'm going to throw in my second caveat is stay open-handed against change resistance as best you can. Keep listening for wind changes. Keep listening. Don't be too stuck. Don't be so stuck that you turn that strength into a liability. Where you're just stubborn. Because that's not going to help your leadership. And sometimes you do feel like you're making the right decisions. All the things are lining up. And then you get to a point where maybe, I don't know, maybe we could have done it a little differently. Or just stay open. I think it doesn't mean you're have any less courage or any less conviction, but just do your best to hear criticism from people. That's the hardest thing, right? Nobody wants to hear you feel attacked or you feel whatever, but oftentimes I think, again, that great habit is like, what can I take from that? Maybe it wasn't delivered in a very good way, but what can I take from that and think, is there some truth to it? Is there something I can learn from for next time?
Yeah, because there's no perfect decision. Even if it is the right or wise decision, the process of deciding and rolling the decision out and communicating and all of that, communication is the sending and the receiving of messages, right? So we might be doing everything we can on our side to send the message the right way, the wise way, the careful way. It might be received in a way that's not, charitable, or it sees the worst in or something. And so we kind of just got to know that no decision process or change process is going to be perfect. And so there are things for us to learn and to give the benefit of the doubt, especially to people maybe that have been around for the long haul. And if you hear some of that change resistance coming from them, just to be gracious with that. Doesn't mean you have to undo the decision, but to go, you know what? Yeah, it is disruptive to you. And I'm glad that you've been around for a long time. And I hope you can make it with us through this change too. And to just acknowledge some of the loss that they're experiencing, right? Because change is loss, change is kind of experienced as loss in some way, and depends on who it impacts. So I think that kind of openness, I'm glad you caveated with that, because I do think it is, what could I learn? But also, how can I be gracious to the people, especially those that have been along for the ride, just to understand some of their upset. And maybe actually their willingness to voice some of that resistance might come out of their trust in that relationship that you have with them, that they feel like they can say this out loud. I don't know. So
the phrase I've been saying a lot as we've been dealing with some change resistance is like, hey, this is what families do.
Yeah.
They disagree, they have arguments, but then they talk it out.
Yeah, talk it out and hug it out, and we move on and we go on to the next thing. And, I've had to remind myself so often over the years that even if we're not making big changes all the time, change is always happening in the life of the church. People are moving. Key volunteers are gone now. Somebody else moves in. That's a change. Someone that's been a pillar of the church passes away, and now we're going through a change. And I'm always reminded that people came to the church and started attending and getting connected and involved because they liked the version of the church that we had at the time that they came to be a part of us, right? Yeah. And, the Lord's at work in that and calling them and all that. But then somebody else comes along into the life of the church a little later down the stream, and they like this version. And these people are like, it used to be so good. And the people now are like, but it's good now. And it's just, it's a strange phenomenon leading in the life of the church. Change is constant, and people are responding to that in all kinds of ways. But I love that you took a positive angle on change resistance, because often we see it as this negative thing that we have to deal with, when it can actually lead to some really positive outcomes when we navigate it well.
And I also think, kind of in closing this idea, is that these 4 C's, if you will, or 4 benefits, they don't just stack on each other, they snowball. Mm-hmm. So when you go through the clarity, conviction, courage, confidence, oftentimes it gives you more clarity, conviction, courage, confidence. Like it just sort of, it builds on that. So over the last few weeks, as we've been kind of going through new decisions that we're making for the fall and trying to figure all that out, I keep coming back to, okay, maybe I'm not thinking in 3 C or 4 C's language, but I'm thinking, okay, we went through a good process. We discerned together. We came to this conclusion. After hearing the resistance, is it still the right decision according to the mission? Yeah. And I always come back to that question when things get hard, because I'm like, remember why? Yeah. Remember why we're doing this? And the answer is 1,000% yes. I would do it every time, another time. Is it worth it? Yes. Who am I going to disappoint? Am I going to disappoint God, or am I going to disappoint human beings?
I think that's so important to bring it back to the mission. This isn't like, I'm not doing it for my personal preference or something, and I think it's hard when the change impacts people we do care about. And
totally.
And it hurts them in some way, or they're upset. And so as pastors, we don't that's not our favorite thing, to live in that kind of relational space where there's frustration or something. But bringing it back to the mission is so good, and saying, would we still make this decision? And that little book, Leading Change Without Losing It, Carey Nieuwhof, way back when, It's, are we willing to make these changes for the sake of the mission and not allow 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 voices out of 100 or a couple hundred to hijack the mission and the vision and the direction, and what cost will come if you give into those voices of resistance when they don't have a case that they're making that is credible. You go, okay, we got to do this anyway, and we're not gonna not do this just because it's hard for a few folks. And that's the hard part of leadership, but so worth it and so valuable when we go, and praying that they'll be able to come along in their own time to be a part of it with us. So such a good topic, Jason. The 4 C's, the surprising benefits: clarity. Second one,
conviction. You got it.
Conviction. I got it. We're going to trade off, clarity.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Courage. And I love this last one. Confidence. Good
Confidence. Stuff. There we go. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope it's helpful to you. If you want to get our weekly newsletter, weekly-ish, I've been doing sort of every other week. It's been a busy season, but get our newsletter. We have a blog post in there. You have access. Sometimes we'll throw in some resources. But if you want to do that, just go to reclaimleader.com/newsletter and sign up. You'll get that automatically in your email, and reach out to us anytime. But thanks so much for listening. We hope this is helping you. As we always say, ministry is hard. It is so much better when we do it together.